coaches first, any updates on Sasha? And then, obviously, look back at game one, we kind of called that the Bob game, but here in game two, the defense just gave Edmonton really not much of anything. How impressed were you with the defensive effort from your players tonight?
I thought it was a continuation of our third period from game one. I thought our gap was good and the effort was outstanding.
Left side, fifth row.
Paul, you guys did this in game one with locking things down in the third period. What makes your team so good at being able to play with a lead, hold the lead, and be able to kind of get to your DNA?
We got 2 years of doing it. We play tight games. We've always played tight, hard games. We don't necessarily score easily. That's not a function of not skill or talent. And the story in these playoffs, we've seen some pretty fine goaltending. We never really got to the test in game one. That wasn't an issue. But it's experiential.
Right side, first row.
Paul, what was your reaction to the hit on Barkey, and do you expect the league to take a look at it?
The league looks at everything. They look at every hit.
Left side, first row.
Paul, Evan Rodrigues, Kyle Puso called him a chameleon, that he could play up and down your lineup with anybody. He doesn't defer to stars whenever you put him with stars. What is it about him that makes him so good, and just how gratifying is this, do you think, for him?
It's an interesting comment. Not deferring to stars, because early in his first tour with the Barkov line, I felt he did. And it's understandable. You're a new player coming to an organization that is skilled, can make plays. The analytics on that line were always exceptionally good. But if there was a critique, then I thought at times he deferred and didn't need to do that. So what he's done is he went on a world tour of our lineup and played with just about everyone, and found his game. And maybe these are questions more for Evan than anybody else, but the confidence to be specific about who you are as a player, and then confident in that. Not a lot more, but he's become. I mean, at this point now in the playoffs alone, he's played all three positions, and he's played on 3 different lines.
Left side up front.
If it was not a 3-1 or a 4-1 game, could Sasha Barkov had returned?
There's 9:28 on the clock, I believe, in a 2-1 game.
Right, but then
I'm not holding him.
Okay.
Left side, second row.
Paul, you mentioned a continuation of the third period, 0 high danger chances against allowed at 5-on-5. Were there any adjustments subtly made from game 1 to 2?
No, just to be mindful that at a time our game was played in game 1. I thought the first period was almost an aberration, because I said this earlier, if you sub out their power play in the first period, they get in alone on us 4 times, but it wasn't systemic. So the first period wasn't as bad as it looked, but I'm not going to try to convince you of that, because they're in alone 4 times. That's not good. The second period was contextual. We took a 2-0 lead with 38 minutes left on the clock with the team that has the 2 most explosive players in the world, and they came as they would. Their risk profile completely changes, but very much like what we did in the third, and I thought that tonight was a continuation of it.
We'll stay in the same row. Go ahead.
Paul, I do want to ask you about the evolution defensively of this team since you've arrived, but just quickly, because I think you're holding back. How do you feel about the hit on Barkov?
This isn't the Oprah Winfrey Show. My feelings don't matter.
Okay. You're hired 2 years ago, team wins the President's Trophy, scores 1 million goals, and your mission is what?
Play a style of game that you can play in the playoffs. Playoff hockey is different. We talk about this in training camp. It's hard. The buy-in isn't from the coach. It's nothing I've done. It is the players' willingness. So the running joke in the coach's office here is be careful what you tell them to do, because they're going to do exactly that. So we have worked very hard, I believe, for our veteran core over the last 2 years. This is game 204. And we've been working really, really hard for 204 games to get to this.
Last question, right side, second row.
Could you talk about how you decided to put Evan where he is in the line? Like you said, he's been up and down, and how he settled at this place.
In the switch in tonight's game,
Yeah.
these are all things we've seen before. We know work. The Rodrigues, Bennett, Kachuk line was a function of an injury that Sam was dealing with. And that injury is no longer an issue. I do believe with certain players, Evan is better on the right, and then with certain players, Evan is better on the left. We needed some bridge games in the early part of the Rangers series till we got to a time limit on Sam that he's cleared to do all things and he's 100% healthy and ready to roll. So all I was doing at that point, I liked our game. When we go through 2 periods and I like our game. I made the comment earlier today about some of what coaching is do no harm, but at the same time, there's another level, right? You have to constantly push for that other level. So the adjustments that were made were there wasn't anything brand new that happened on the ice tonight. There was no magical genius to this. It's just Evan, Barkey, and Rhino have been an incredible line for us. We were a little stagnant in what we were generating, but the work ethic was there, the compete was there. Carter Verhaeghe just kind of needs a change of address every once in a while. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, Paul.